Hello, everyone. Welcome, Tennessee folks. My name is Andrew Rittmeier. I'm with Technical Training Aids. This session is Industry 4.0 Fundamentals. It's a new program that was developed to help keep up with the ever-changing technology. Main focus is on smart factory automation. I have with me today Dan Heim from Amatrol, who's a co-presenter, along with a couple other familiar faces that might be out in attendance, and Jason Hines and Bobby Conrad. Excuse me. We are the Amatrol representatives for the state of Tennessee, so you may see us from time to time, and we bring Dan along for the ride. Just it all depends on where you are in the state of Tennessee. Industry 4.0, a little bit of the history about it. We're in four different, we are in Industry 4.0, the revolution. A lot of us know it as smart factory or smart automation, or the industrial Internet of Things, or connected enterprise. Way back when manufacturing first evolved, the Industrial Revolution began with mechanization of manufacturing with steam and water power. Slowly, things progressed into Industry 2.0 and Henry Ford and the assembly line. From there, we jump into Industry 3.0, where robots will start to be incorporated into the process of manufacturing, usage of electronics and PLCs and so forth. Now, to keep up with the ever-changing, we are now incorporating smart devices that can give real-time feedback, a lot of data analytics, so that we can analyze things, and also a lot of preventive maintenance. The term Industry 4.0 was coined back by the German government, but it's now become synonymous with the industry. It's used widely. Now education will evolve and help out supporting the local industry. So Industry 4.0, after the realization that there's no quality training programs to address the need for new technologies within 4.0, Amatrol sat down with some folks from Gateway Community College in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and derived the program that we're about to go through today, in Industry 4.0. Of course, it's used in a broader range of different items. What you see there on the screen there is Industry 1.0, where you got the door knocker, and you see the evolution of the doorbell, just for example. Next, you got the electric doorbell, and next you know you have audio, and where we are a lot of today we have the ring bell, where we can see people from afar, and it's still growing from there. Industry 4.0 fundamentals, it's just not manufacturing. It is a true STEM program where students, still soul seeking and trying to find out what they want to do in their life as far as careers. It also exposes them to network security, advanced manufacturing, IT, industrial design and maintenance, mechatronics, which a lot of you are familiar with, some CNC, of course, data analytics. Everybody's about their data these days, and of course, engineering. back in 2017, I mentioned Gateway up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, was about to get a large manufacturer by the name of Foxconn that was going to bring a rather large factory to the area and hire some 20,000 people from that area to work the factory. The president of Gateway realized that working with other companies that he was not going to have a complete solution. So Gateway, along with some other folks, got with Amatrol and Mr. Paul Perkins, the president of Amatrol, and they derived the program that we're talking today. It was scribbled down on cocktail napkins, so the story says, and about 6 short months later, the first pilot programs were rolled out for Gateway Technology. Shortly thereafter, Ashley Furniture, largest furniture manufacturer in the world, wanted to be a part of it once they caught wind of it. To this day, there's 5 pilot sites that are using the program and 2 that are Ashley Furniture throughout 5 states. The trip to Amatrol, they sat down, developed the program. As you see, in April 2018 was the first installation that went in. Shortly thereafter, Ashley. And then out of all this conversation, they wanted to develop industry recognized certifications. So SACA, Smart Automation Certification Alliance, was developed out of this. So digging down into the program, a lot of times there's not enough time in the school program to cover everything. So things were consolidated into 4 courses. Introduction to Mechatronics was course 1. Intro to Industrial Control Systems 2 was course 2. And course 3, Robot Operation and Programming. And then course 4 is Introduction to Industrial Internet of Things. Now, this program was based on a 65-hour semester. To complete all 4 courses would take about 2 years to get through everything. As you can see, they're broken down into various topics, introduction of things. This is where a lot of high schoolers start. Now, Industry 4.0 fundamental program that's been developed by Amatrol using Amatrol curriculum covers course 1, course 2, and course 4. There are other means for covering course 3 with using FANUC robotics, of which we will cover in the slides moving forward. An alternative plan to course 3, as some of you are familiar with, is the MSSC CPT program, and we'll touch base on that. And as you can see, there's a long list of items that are covered through these courses. This is where point I step back, and I'm going to turn it over to my co-presenter, Dan Heim, who will dig into some of the certifications, touch base with them, and then show us a short demonstration of the Amatrol e-learning.
So, thanks, Andrew. I'll take over. Let me move forward on slides. Again, Andrew mentioned it, but I'm Dan Heim with Amatrol and co-presenter on this. So like Andrew said, this program from Gateway Technical College, they wanted to do dual enrollment with the local high schools. They also wanted it to include certifications. So well, I guess with certifications, it's the buzzword in high school programs and college programs everywhere in CTE, just the idea that not only do you graduate from high school with your diploma, but You could also graduate with a certification. And then also the dual enrollment where you can graduate with college credit. This program, as it was laid out with Gateway Technical College, the pilot programs that Andrew mentioned, I think there were 11 of them in total, all have partnerships with a college. So they're getting college credit, but we wanted to make sure that they got certifications as well. So I'm going to briefly talk about the 9 different certifications that a high school student could possibly end up after going through this program. So the way I think about it, in fashion, we have trends change. And 20 years ago, you're wearing bell bottoms, and now it's skinny jeans. And education, you have those same trends. 20 years ago, it was project-based learning was the big key word. Today, it's certifications, industry recognized certifications, dual enrollment. Those are the trends today. So we wanted to make sure we focused on getting those industry validated certifications. And why do you want a certification? Because when, like the SACA certification, like the MSSC CPT certification, and like the FANUC robotics certification that we're talking about, they are all developed in partnership with industry. So when these students graduate from high school, you know that their skills are going to align with the jobs. When they don't align with the jobs, that's when you have the skills gap that we've had over the past 20 years. And maybe that's project-based learning had a little bit to do with it. But when you do an industry validated certification, you know you're going to align to local industry. It gives you credibility. If you go through if you're a student, you go through a school in Tennessee and then you move to Seattle, Washington. Well, in Seattle, Washington, they might not know that particular Tennessee school, but they see the certification, and that shows not only did they learn something, did the student learn something, but then they were able to pass a test to prove it. Reduce hiring costs, and the fact that if you've passed a certification, it gives you credence over to somebody else that hasn't proved that they have been certified. Things like safety and quality are embedded into most certifications, so they're going to understand what manufacturing's about. It helps you get grants. That's what the Perkins 5 line item on here. You can't get a grant these days unless you're aligning to a recognized certification. It gives the job seeker themselves marketability. And a lot of them, all the ones we're talking about, are also aligned to Department of Labor recognized apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships. So it allows them to possibly go directly into an apprenticeship program or be part of an apprenticeship program while they're in school. So look for the National Association of Manufacturer endorsement. This afternoon, Andrew and I could come up with our own certification. There's nothing saying that we can't, but look for something that's endorsed by a third party. National Association of Manufacturers is a good one. They want to not have the Dan and Andrew certification. They want one that's validated by industry. So look for some kind of endorsement by a third party group. So SACA, Andrew mentioned that Gateway came together with Ashley Furniture, Foxconn, Rockwell Automation, the manufacturers of Allen Bradley PLCs, they were involved. FANUC Robotics was involved, and Amatrol were involved. And out of that partnership came this I4F program. But the one thing it was missing was a certification, kind of the icing on the cake. And that's when everybody said, wouldn't it be great if there was a smart automation certification, which there wasn't one at that time. So kind of out of the ground roots, this SACA was formed. The head of SACA, if anybody's heard of NIMS, Metalworking Skills Institute, Jim Wall, the person that was head of NIMS for a decade or two, is actually the head of SACA. So he knows what works. He's well skilled in the area of certifications. It's a nonprofit foundation, industry driven. You can go to their website, saca.org, and see all the different industries that were helpful in creating the standards. And you can see their mission statement. But, you know, relevant to industry, high quality. They're based on specific occupations. They're modular. They're low cost, and then there's low cost instructor training as well. And what I mean by low cost, I think most of the attendees today are high schools. For $500, a high school can do unlimited number of certifications through SACA. So that's one of the things that Jim Wall from NIMS thought that kept NIMS from growing as fast as it should. It was pretty hard to become a NIMS facility, and it was expensive. So he wanted to make sure for SACA to grow fast, he wanted to have a low cost and easy ability to become a member of the SACA Alliance. So he made sure that the cost of entry was low. So Andrew showed the chart, and it had course 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on the left of this slide, it says Certified Industry 4.0 Associate 1, Certified Industry 4.0 Associate 2. Those are the certifications from SACA that align to course 1, course 2, course 3, and course 4 as you go down the left-hand side. And then where Gateway Technical College would come in, or college partners within the state of Tennessee, the light blue and the pink areas in the middle are the specialist categories, which are attained at the college level. And then the red SACA certification off to the right that's being piloted at the University of Wisconsin. That is the 4-year degree certification that goes along with smart automation. So this is just set up from the very beginning to work in a dual enrollment. Any of the certifications can be taken just as a singularity, but you group them together and can grow all the way into a 4-year program. So one thing that wasn't seen, and this was created with the whole COVID staying at home, as I am here in my basement, and a lot of you all are probably at your home or in your basements, but the SACA certification was originally a hands-on plus written test to get the full credential. With people in their basements and not able to go to a school to be performance credentialed, we actually, what came from SACA was a 2-tier system. If you only take the theory test, you can get a silver credential. And if you take the performance hands-on plus the theory and pass both of them, then you have a SACA gold certification. Inside of each of these credentials, they're actually made up. There is a Certified Industry 4.0 Associate 1 credential, or a Certified Industrial 4.0 Automation System Specialist credential. But each one of those is made up of micro credentials. A student, if they didn't finish the entire program, they wouldn't have a credential without micro credentials. But each one of those might actually be built of, you can see at the bottom area, electrical systems 1, electric motor control 1, motor control TS 1, and electrical systems installation 1. So NIMS has an industrial maintenance certification, duty area 5, and it takes 165 hours to get through that whole credential. With SACA, during the way, you would actually get multiple micro credentials and not only have the full credential, but then you would have multiple micro credentials along the way. So like badges, I think of them like Boy Scouts. Takes a decade to become an Eagle Scout, but along the way you get a rope tying badge or a fire starting badge or whatever those are. Well, SACA realized that those incremental benefits to the students are a way to keep them engaged, so they can earn little micro credentials along the way and keep them focused on that ultimate final credential as well. So Andrew mentioned SACA Associate Level 3. That was done in partnership with FANUC Robotics. So the students would not only get the 4 SACA certifications, but they could also get the FANUC certification utilizing the FANUC certification cart. And the FANUC partnership would get them the SACA Associate 3, but optionally they could sit in for the FANUC certification through, Andrew, what's the third party that does the NOCTI?
NOCTI.
They could actually sit down and do the NOCTI FANUC certification test as well. So also in SACA Area 3, they could optionally sit down and do the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council CPT certification. So the CPT certification is normally 144 hours. Each of the areas, course 1, 2, 3, and 4, are actually 65 hours each, but once they've gone through area 1 and area 2, they've covered pretty much a majority of the MSSC CPT content. So at that point, they can actually sit down, do a fast track on the remaining 65 hours, and then they'd have 4 certifications from MSSC. And the programs that we're laying out, can be a turnkey package, but you don't have to do all 4 areas. You don't have to do course 1, 2, 3, and 4. If this is just something that your school has available in the student's senior year, you can do just course 1 and course 2. If your school's already doing MSSC CPT, you don't have to do that as course 3. You could actually do it maybe in the student's sophomore year. So you could do MSSC CPT in these 4 areas in their sophomore year, then go into SACA course 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is that I4F program that we're talking about, cover that across their junior and senior years in those 65-hour courses. So it is turnkey and you can purchase it like that, but you're not locked in. You can adjust it to fit more of your school's program. For those of you that don't know a lot about the CPT program, it's got a full online content. Amatrol's been doing the online content for MSSC since about 2006 to 2008 is when we developed all the content. And it's broken up into 4 different areas. The CPT tests themselves, you don't have to, or the student doesn't have to do anything hands-on to get those 4 certifications. So a couple years ago, the CPT Plus was added, and that's a hands-on certification that will confirm that not only can they pass the theory portion, but also do a hands-on assessment and get a 5th assessment or a 5th certification through MSSC. You can see that piece of equipment in the middle of your screen is a skill boss. That's where the students would actually get assessed on that CPT Plus certification. So there are so many, since it's been around since the mid-2000s, there are so many companies that are MSSC partners. It's considered a gold standard. It is ISO 1704 accredited certification. It's in high schools, it's in community colleges, it's in workforce training. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of restaurant employees that got laid off during coronavirus and they want to get a job in manufacturing. They're able to go take a quick MSSC certification, prove they can work safe, understand quality, read a tape measure, do very simple things, and go straight into a job in the manufacturing, and hopefully not get laid off the next time there's some kind of issue like coronavirus. So it's accepted as a pre-apprenticeship program. So there's 560 hours that lead to 3,000 hours of a Department of Labor endorsed pre-apprenticeship program. And getting a little bit deeper into the course structure of the I4F program. So you see that they can get 8, 9, or 10 industry recognized certifications in conjunction with this I4F program, but now kind of get a little bit more into the nuts and bolts of what the course is going to look like. So it's online content. It's broken up into objectives. That's going to be the theory. So the students are going to learn some theory. And then, what the instructional designers will tell you, the quicker you can go from learning about a topic and go and do something with the topic, that the more retention you're going to have. So they're going to go from the objectives and immediately go do a hands-on skill on a piece of equipment to reinforce what they just learned. And then all along the way, there are assessments built in. There are self-reviews. That's just between the student and the computer. It just shows them maybe they need to go back and do a little more work within their online content. There's a pre-quiz at the very beginning. You can turn that on or off if you want. Sometimes people use it. Maybe if you've got somebody with some pre-knowledge, they pass the pre-quiz, you can skip them through that content and have them go directly take a post-quiz. And then there's hands-on skill performance assessments built in along the way within the instructor's content. So again, it's online content only. Each one of these, so I've got a snapshot of what the Amatrol library for the I4F looks like. Each one of these line items is actually about 45 minutes. And the reason we did that is so it can be completed in a standard classroom period. So I'm going to switch over and show some of that content real quick. So I'm logged into the Amatrol site. If your school has a learning management system, you do not have to use the Amatrol LMS. This is optional, but within it, the students would have these libraries. I'm logged in as a super administrator, so you're seeing all kinds of libraries. The I4F library is broken down into the courses. So all of this content is what the students would go through in course 1. So not only do they have the ability to launch content, but they could take the quiz. And I'm an administrator, so these are a little different than what a students would say. They would launch content, they would launch their quiz, and then they would take, if there's hands-on skills, they can actually go in and look at this is basic measurement. They're actually going to take this in the procedure. It's telling them they're going to take these devices and measure, looks like 10 shafts and 3 plates and 3 discs. Oh, there they are in the picture. So after they went through that content and learned about dimensional measurements, 2 systems of dimensional measurements, blah, 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 then they're actually going to go through and use a ruler to measure, use a machinist rule. So that's where the skill PDF comes in. I'll actually jump in and let's see, find something. I'll actually go into course 2. There's a virtual trainer where they can actually take a tape measure and read the length of a virtual shaft in that. So coronavirus, kids are at home, can't touch the equipment because it hasn't been cleaned off since the last person has touched it, they have the ability to do that virtually as well. I'm actually going to open up more of an advanced one than using a virtual tape measure. I'm going to open up a virtual programmable logic controller. So this is going to start them into now this is the middle of course 2. So they've gone through year 1 or semester 1 and they're halfway through semester 2. And they have learned what a PLC is, what an input is on a PLC, what an output is, and now they're getting into putting timers into a PLC. So if any of you don't know what a PLC is, it's a little mini computer that controls every conveyor belt in every Amazon plant or in UPS hubs to get you packages. The plastic injection molding machine that made your computer monitor enclosure, that was controlled by a PLC. So they are the brains within manufacturing processes. So what they're doing, let's see, I'm going to enter and operate. So I learned what a PLC is. I made it to this point. Now I'm going to go into the skill.
Enter and operate a PLC.
So it's fully narrated. I'm going to shut off the narration. And it is going to say at this point, do you want to go to this piece of equipment? This is an Amatrol tabletop mechatronic system, or do you want to use the simulator? I'm going to select simulator. And hopefully the graphics are amazing in this. Hopefully they're not lost across the Zoom platform, but it's got to download all of this to my machine. This is all just running through a browser. So it's got to download this. Nothing special is needed to be loaded onto the students' computers or the instructors' computers as well. So I am now within the content. Let's see. It's not on your all's. It's not on your all screen. Let me see. Okay, now it's loading the simulator. Okay, so I have my step-by-step instructions. As if I'm a student, my step-by-step instructions are here. This is me panning around. It's telling the students that it's showing them the truth table that they need to get programmed into the PLC. So they've learned what that means in this ladder logic form here. This is actually going to be blank. I'm actually in the sample program for this device. I'll zoom in here. I can shrink my little instruction screen down, and I can, so here I can change my view. I can zoom in on the control panel, but ultimately I need to set my PLC into run mode. So if you can see, these are highlighted in green. That's waiting for an input. When I push this, you'll actually see input 0 come on. This is totally interactive. So now my part's going to come in. It's going to go into this press. The press is going to come down. It's actually going to enter a couple second delay as it stamps the part. These are actually working limit switches. So it went down until it saw this limit switch, raised until it saw that limit switch, and then the part is leaving in a stamped form. Now it's going to continue. It goes off the end of the conveyor belt. Here comes another blank part. It's going to stamp it, and you can see the part come out in the end, and they'll look a little bit different. So this particular simulation has 8 different. This one is a full conveyor system with a stamping operation. There's ones in here as well that have simple, just push a button, make a light come on, very simple interactions before you get to that, that full-blown PLC. If you have CNC machining programs at your high school, we have the ability for students to do CNC machining as well in a virtual world. And again, I jumped from the PLC content to the CNC content. Try to show you a quick overview of, so they're going to learn they've learned what a CNC machine is. They're getting into all of these topics before going into the online skill. I'm going to jump forward, go into the simulator.
In this procedure, you will enter a short CNC program and then run the program in the CNC simulator.
So it's got to download the CNC machine to my computer.
Select Simulator to perform this procedure.
Okay, so I'm now in front of a virtual CNC machine. I'm panning in and out. It's got the little screen, hands-on, looks like a Haas machine. For those of you familiar, it's telling me step-by-step instructions. I'm actually going to go in. I've got to go in and put up, before I can do anything, I've got to put in a part. I'll just accept the defaults of a 256 by 256 by 50 millimeter part with a 25 millimeter tool in there. This one, just like in that PLC program, there's actually a program already written. This is a G-code program, and it's going to tell the CNC machine what needs to run. When I hit the start button, it's going to go at it. It just changed the tool. I'm zoomed in, so now you can making these cuts. Highlighted over here on the right-hand side, you can actually see the G-code line item that is being run at this particular time. You can see it change depth in there. So these codes over here, kind of like an XY axis and telling it depth, XYZ axis telling it depth and where to start, where to end. If I actually go in and I'm just going to add a 0 to this program and then run it again.
Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up against time. Just to
Okay.
remind you about 5 minutes left so we can answer any questions. But
yeah, I'll go. So what's going to happen? I entered that extra 0 in, so the part's going to go off the machine. Just wanted to show that it is. Yeah. So there, it took a miscut because I did that, and I was going to go back in, do the remainder of the cut, just to show that's totally interactive and can be. So here, so quickly, I mentioned that the I4F was a turnkey program, and it was built with high school instructors. And what they wanted to be able to do is get as much of the out of the equipment as possible, make the stuff relevant, have the students be able to work off on their own. And so this was going to be this is course 1. They're actually going to do these group block lessons all together. They're going to have a rotation. This is set up for 24 students. Andrew, somebody says Sean raised their hand. Sean, you wanted to ask a question? Oh, it shows he's.
Go ahead, keep going.
Sean, did you want to ask a question? Sorry. So the course is set up that, you know, if you've got 24 students, which is this is what it's set up for, you can't have 24 of each piece of equipment. Your room's just not big enough. But you want to have a basic AC/DC station. You want to have a basic measurement station. You want to have a little CNC machine. You want to have all these different areas, but you can't have 12 of each. So if you have the ability to rotate the students through, so one student's working on basic AC/DC while another student's working on basic measurement, you have the ability to get most of the equipment, and the equipment's not sitting idle. So the group block is where the students go through lessons all together in unison as a class. Then you get into a rotation where group E is working on different stuff than group F, but when F gets done, they can move over to a different area, and group E can move on to F or over to C. But to make it relevant, there are field trips that are built in. There are mini projects to take what they learned here and use it someplace else. And then there's the certification exam at the end. Tried to show what was in each different area, just to show a sample of what course one was like. And so you got 10 hours where all of the students go through Industry 4.0 introduction, safety, print reading, mechanical drives before they go into these different rotational pods. 4 to 6 hours is set aside for local field trips. 3 to 6 hours are for the mini projects, and then take that certification exam in the end. And then don't have time today, but actually showed how this is where the turnkey package comes in. All of this stuff is already laid out. The instructor may not be from industry, may not have all of the expertise, but we're going to get them from how to read a tape measure all the way to taking hubs, setting up a secure network, putting information out on the cloud for something like a plant manager to go and actually see what is going on the factory floor. This is a simulated factory floor, but they're going to go all the way from what is Industry 4.0, what is AC power, what is a tape measure or how to read a tape measure, all the way up to being able to do cyber secure networks with cloud reporting and programming PLCs and CNC machines, all within that 2 years, plus end up with 8, 9, 10 different certifications. This is actually showing where you've got this robot working with this tabletop mechatronic system, smart devices, controller, cybersecurity, talking to the cloud. That's the culmination of things. And then kind of the stuff we've talked about here, dual enrollment opportunities, 8 different certifications. If you've got extra years, it's expandable. You could do freshman, sophomore years. Why I4F? It's going to be consistent outcome. If one instructor leaves or gets promoted, another instructor can roll in and just take that content and keep moving. Dual enrollment opportunities with colleges when you make that partnership, and really true cost savings with those rotational groups, everybody being able to share equipment, and the virtual content helping with the virtual content helping with saving money as well. So Andrew, I think that I saw that Sean, it popped up that he raised his hands again. I don't, yeah.
Sean, if you have ability to.
Can you hear me now?
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can.
I was wondering what the keyword was.
So funny you asked that. This, if you can see my slide here, Montana is the keyword. That's the.
Okay. Thank you.
It was in code.
So, folks, sorry we ran long. Sean, did you have other questions?
No, that was it. Thank you.
It said somebody else raised their hand. Let's see.
Sorry we ran long, but I do have booth time later today. I will be there, possibly Dan. Just if you have questions, you need more information. I saw a question about putting up some files. We can certainly put up some files and share them with you. But I do appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I apologize. It is so much information to go through because it is a turnkey program. 3 different certifications to discuss, showing you the online content. Andrew, it says Randy McPherson.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm at work and my boss called and I missed the ID code.
Montana. That's
I'm sorry.
It's
Montana?
Montana.
Montana. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good session. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. So, anybody else have any questions? Or if not, you can also stop by the technical training aids booth.
Yes.
So,
All righty.
yeah. Code word is Montana.
All right. Well, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.